Child support and alimony in Costa Rica. My name is Arcelio Hernandez. I am an attorney in San Jose, Costa Rica. I've been practicing law here for over 24 years. So one thing you can expect from me is I won't make too many mistakes. Every mistake that you can imagine, I've already done. 24 years of legal practice in Costa Rica. And let me tell you that this matter of alimony and child support is taken very lightly by some people. They go to just any lawyer, maybe without any experience, and then they get into real trouble. Costa Rica is one of very few in the countries in the world that still can arrest you if you don't pay child support on time, or if you only make a partial payment, they can arrest you for the balance. Now, it used to be that the first time that somebody is detained or arrested because they're late with their child support payment or alimony for an ex-spouse, for example, they could be detained for up to 6 months. 6 months in jail. I mean, that's really drastic. Now, as some of you know, I worked in Congress for years trying to make some changes to this law to make it a little bit more reasonable. Why? Because I saw how destructive 6 months detention can be on people. I went to the women's jail and spoke with many women there. I went to the men's jail and spoke with many men there. And their stories are very similar in both cases. I can remember, for example, the case of a woman who was arrested because she couldn't pay her full amount of child support that she was supposed to pay. And she had been already there for a couple of months, I think. And what happened is that she's self-employed. She had a beauty parlor. And because she was late with her rent payment, the landlord came and took all her stuff. So now she's waiting for the 6 months to go by, and so she can be released because she doesn't have the money. If you pay, of course, before the 6 months, I mean, you will be released immediately. The moment you pay, you're released because the purpose is supposedly is to pressure the person to pay, right? It's not a punishment. And I say that because the Constitutional Court has said so, although in practice it seems like a punishment, right? So the lady, I mean, she was telling me her story, and she's like, well, what am I gonna do when I get out? What do I go back to? What work do I go back to continue feeding my kids? So you can see how this 6 months detention was very unreasonable. That's why I worked for many years. I had to convince a majority of the congressmen, and this took a lot of work, all the lobby I had to do. I drafted some proposals which have become law now. And the new Family Process Code that was published October 1st last year, 2024, Articles 283 and 284 are basically my idea. I proposed those changes to the way that we execute arrest for people who don't pay their child support or alimony. So what are those changes? 283 basically makes this detention progressional. The first time somebody is late or cannot pay, they can be arrested for up to 2 months, not 6 months, the first time, but 2 months. Now, the second time that this happens in the case file, it would go up to 4 months. And then from the third time on, it will go back to 6 months, okay? Now, some people might say, well, that's still very harmful. It's traumatic to the kids to see their father or their mother in jail because they couldn't pay, right? And this happens a lot with people who are self-employed, who don't have a paycheck every 2 weeks. So, but, really, even these changes took a lot of work, and I had to fight against the Defensoría de los Habitantes, the ombudsman, because they thought it was like going back on progress of children's rights and all this, because they didn't understand the logic behind these necessary changes that are now law. Now, I also considered the case of Chile. Chile has night detention for people who pay alimony or child support. And so I said, that's a great idea. I mean, let people work during the day and let them just, go to jail at night. And so he was approved 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. And people who work night shift, they can apply for a daytime detention. This took a lot of work too. Some women's organizations and stuff, they took this to the Constitutional Court, and the Constitutional Court backed us up. They said, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. In fact, it might make it more feasible for the money for child support to actually get to the child, or alimony to the spouse. So we passed the constitutional test of our constitutional court in Costa Rica. But like I will say this many times, because as I recall these, I tell you, I spent many hours, a lot of money, trying to raise public conscience about this, about the need for those changes. We also managed to lower the age at which a person is exempt from this sort of detention. We call it apremio corporal, is the arrest. This dates back to Roman law times, when a debtor couldn't pay his debt. He would be put in a cage and sold at an auction, as a slave. This is the background to like the history behind our current apremio corporal, which is the arrest for debtors, for people who pay child support and could not pay on a certain month, as long as the beneficiary or the representative, for example, a mother of children who are beneficiaries in a case like this, requests the detention. It's not automatic. It's not like the judge, you miss the payment and the judge will automatically send you to jail. No. The beneficiary has to request it. And there are other options for the beneficiary. They can also request a lien on property, or attaching property or bank accounts or salaries. So arrest shouldn't be the first option, but there's no requirement in the law that you have to first exhaust other options. You can go directly to a request for an arrest order, an arrest warrant for the person who's late. So anyway, it took many years of work. I worked as an aide to a congressman, and from within I was able to convince a majority of congressmen that these were good ideas, that we needed to make these changes. It took, many decades had passed, and no changes were made. Nobody was able to get those changes approved because of course you have some extreme women's groups that oppose anything that might slightly benefit the debtor, which of course most debtors are men. We have about 300 men every month detained in these type of jails or detention centers, and we have only about 13 women every month that are detained. So you can see the comparison. Most debtors are men. So when you propose something that might even remotely benefit a man, you have, of course, all these extremist groups of feminists who oppose it. Not only feminists, you have government organizations, because unfortunately, our government institutions have become more and more radicalized in favor of women, and that, I understand some reasons why women need special protection, and that's fine. But we also have to be careful to keep a balanced legal system, and that's what I've fought for the last 24 years, to give fathers a chance. Most fathers are responsible, and you can see that very easily with just simple mathematics, statistics, because if you look at the number of men who have a child support lawsuit, it's a very small percentage of men. And even of those, even from that small percentage of men who have some kind of lawsuit for child support, some of those case files are because there's been a divorce by mutual agreement, and this included some considerations about child support or alimony, and then a file is created. So you have another statistic that does not necessarily mean that there's somebody who has been irresponsible. or people who just prefer to do it like that. They prefer to have a legal, a judicial case file, rather than just doing it, on friendly terms without the need for a legal process. And from all of those people that do have a case file, only a very small percentage are detained. 300 men a month, that's a very small percentage when you compare it to the number of, first of all, fathers in Costa Rica, and then fathers who have a case file for alimony, for child support, for pensión, that we call it here. So you can see just by looking at the simple numbers that most fathers are responsible. Most fathers are responsible, but we've had to fight for decades against prejudice, against discrimination based on the sex of the person, based on the fact that the person being sued is a man. So if you're a man in Costa Rica, already just by that fact, you are vulnerable before the courts. Okay, you have a hard time proving things. You first of all, they shift the burden of proof on certain things. For example, with this new code, you have to prove that what the person claiming, making the claim, is saying is not true. I mean, which is basically unreasonable, right? But they take it as truth. Whatever they say. If they say that you make $20,000 a month, the court will assume that it's true, and you have to prove to the court what you really make. You have to prove to the court what your real income is. But that's just one example. We men are very, very, very vulnerable when it comes to sex crimes, for example. I've had to represent men accused of sex offenses, and just the say of the victim is enough to convict in Costa Rica. So you want to be very, very careful. And it's a very delicate matter. I've been able to get people acquitted, but it's not easy. You have to have a legal representative with experience on these matters. I'm not the only one, but I do have 24 years to back me up with the experience. Like I said at the beginning, all the mistakes you can imagine that a lawyer can make, I've already made. So I won't make those same mistakes with you. So if you decide to hire me or work with my law firm, I have two other lawyers who work with me, two ladies, who are also here by my side to help me on these cases. We have a whole staff here to work for you, that we can provide a good quality service. And I don't like to talk about other lawyers, but I've seen other lawyers who don't want to spend the money to have a good staff, and then their services are not as efficient, let's say. So what we can promise you is our best effort. Of course, no ethical lawyer can guarantee the outcome of any process, but we can guarantee that we will make our best effort. And very important, we can actually communicate with you. I can communicate with you in English. So if you've been looking for a lawyer that you can communicate with in English, search no more. I mean, I'm your guy. I'm your best option in Costa Rica, because I offer you over 2 decades of experience. I have worked in Congress. I know the law very well. And the experience that I can bring to the table will be your asset. I'm sure of that. So whether it's family law or civil law or criminal law, we have experience. Now, criminal law is very ample, right? We have many different types of crime. My experience is mainly with family related crimes. That includes sex offenses, domestic violence offenses, disobedience to authority, and also economic related crimes, so all those crimes, all those types of crimes, we've had very good results. I have a lot of experience representing people in criminal matters involving economical or financial crimes and family related crimes also. Now, we don't represent many people. I've done maybe 1 or 2 cases in my life with other types of crimes that I don't really pursue. I don't really like them that much. I wouldn't even mention the type of crimes, but we do specialize in certain crimes when it comes to criminal law because there's so many types. I mean, you're talking about crimes like against life, for example, homicides, things like that. I've done very little about on that. Drug crimes, very little on that. Things like that. I mean, we mainly do family related crimes, and we do a lot of financial related crimes. So anything from swindles or fraudulent administration or unlawful retention of property, things like that. We've done lots of that. We've also done some international law cases, for example, with regards to the Hague Convention on the international restitution of children. I've done quite a few cases like that. I work in collaboration with U.S. law firms, with Canadian law firms, for example, to bring back children that are being illegally retained in those countries, or sending them back, to their habitual residence from Costa Rica. So we do have experience in that type of case, and we'd be happy to put that experience at your service. So whether it be family law, like I said, or civil law or criminal law, we also do lots of notary work. I am a notary. I've been a notary for over 24 years. And that in Costa Rica, you need a notary for property title transfers, for mortgages, for releases of mortgages, for anything like that, certification of documents. We've helped a lot of people with their legal residence application, and we translate. I'm an official translator, so I do certified translation of documents such as birth certificates, marriage documents, or the FBI criminal background documents. All those documents should have the apostille on them. You can get the apostille. I've heard that people get their apostille, for example, in the U.S., even at their local post office. So you can get it's the Department of State that gives this apostille, but you can request it, I've heard, at the post office. So maybe somebody knows, they can confirm that to me, but it shouldn't be too difficult. We have done many documents like that. I've done the translation, the certified translation, or official translation, we call it, for our immigration department, for other purposes too. So lots of people come here. They find us. They find our business on Google, for example. You can find us there as Signature, Escrow, and Notary Public Services. In Spanish, we have Derecho y Familia, which means such as law and family, basically. And many people find us that way on Google. I am now, this year, I decided I'm going to start creating videos like this one you're watching, in English, because I want to reach out to the English-speaking community in Costa Rica. You don't have to settle for a lawyer who can't understand what you're saying. You can talk fluently to your lawyer. I grew up in California. I have a college degree from the United States, and I have my law degree from Costa Rica. I have a master's degree from the University of Costa Rica in international law diplomacy, and therefore, and it doesn't have to cost more, by the way. Our costs are very reasonable. They're comparable to anybody else's. We don't have especially expensive prices because we offer bilingual services. Our prices are exactly the same as any other law firm. So like I said, you don't have to settle for a lawyer who can't even talk to you. Like maybe that lawyer will have to call a secretary, and that secretary might not even speak good English, and you'll have some communication gaps and misunderstandings, and it must be very frustrating, I think, to work like that with a lawyer. If I need a lawyer, I want to be able to talk to him. So I imagine it's the same for you. And that is why I'm making these videos. Now, some fellow Costa Ricans will make negative comments. There's some haters. Why are you talking in English? You're in Costa Rica. Well, because I can, because I know English. Maybe if you don't, maybe, we have a lot of English schools now available in Costa Rica. You can learn online. There's no reason why somebody should only speak Spanish in Costa Rica. We have freedom of expression. So, I also speak French and Italian and a little bit German. So maybe I'll be doing some videos also in those languages. But I want to focus on the English-speaking community for now. I had an office in Jaco Beach for about 5 years, but we closed that office in 2010 approximately after the financial crisis that happened in the United States, and it became very difficult. We had some very difficult times, and then so we opened our office back in San Jose, and which was where we've been practicing law, and we've focused on the Spanish-speaking community for almost the last 15 years or so. So I want to start addressing also the English speaking community. So if you're watching this video, if you live in Costa Rica, it doesn't mean you don't have to learn Spanish. By the way, you should learn Spanish. I just want to make the point that it's if, of course, your native language. You want to be able to communicate with your lawyer, and of course, if your lawyer knows English and can speak English technically even. Because it's one thing to speak English, it's another thing to be able to talk to you in technical terms about a certain area, for example, law. So this is what I wanted to tell you. So thank you very much, Alba Trejos, for liking this video, and thank you all who are watching, who have been watching this video. Like I said, I'll continue talking about different topics. Today I wanted to just mention this topic of child support and alimony. Now, another chapter of this, okay, is making changes. Once you've been given an amount, an amount has been set by the court, or you've agreed to an amount and it has been approved by the court, there may be changes of circumstances. People can lose their job. People can suffer an accident. I mean, there can be many things that happen that create a change of circumstances. Now, if that happens, we have a special process to request the court to adjust the amount of the child support payments to your current reality. We have a specialized process for that. So if you are in this situation, if you've suffered some financial crisis for any reason, maybe your business is suffering for whatever reason, and there's been a significant change in your income or your ability, we can always request a change in the child support amount. That's possible. It's a special process. And of course, you have the burden of proof. So as long as you can prove it, and as long as it's not something that's voluntary, because some people come and, I quit my job because I wanted to be, I didn't like it that much. And so I chose a different job, and now it pays me less. Okay, if it's voluntary, it's very difficult to change the amount. But if it's something that's involuntary, an accident, or I had a case where somebody changed jobs because of a medical recommendation. The doctor said, listen, your job is too stressful. You're going to die if you continue working these long shifts. He was like a security guard or something. And so he, based on a medical recommendation, he quit his job and found another job which paid less. I mean, and the judge accepted that in that case because there was a justification to it. So what I'm saying is, it can't just be arbitrary that you decided to quit your job and now you want to lower the amount of your child support payments. You can't. They won't approve it like that. But if it's something out of your control, there's a change of circumstances, you can file. It's a special process, and now you can expect a decision quicker than before, because the law, I mentioned it again, the Código Procesal de Familia, the family, which this, by the way, this is my publication. This is a completely current edition, which is available in Universal stores, and also some specialized legal bookstores, and also the University of Costa Rica, the bookstore of the University of Costa Rica. You can find it there. It's very important to know, there's a lot of changes that have happened, and I do a presentation at the very beginning. I write a presentation, and I explain the most important changes. But anyway, this new code brought about some changes where a decision has to be made by the judge at the hearing. See, it used to be before, you'd go to the hearing, the testimonies are heard by the judge and everything, and then the judge says, okay, thank you very much, later. And then you waited for months for a decision. Now this code changed that, okay? It changes that. The judge has to give you a decision at the end of the hearing. So you hear the testimonies, you look at the evidence, and then you make some conclusions, and then right there the judge after the conclusions, the judge has to hand down a decision, which is very good. I mean, this will make the process much faster. So if you're in that situation, I mean, it could also be the other way around, that a beneficiary needs to request an increment in the alimony amount or child support amount. Why? Because, for example, it happens that a child goes from elementary school to junior high school or high school. Okay, so that change implies more expenses. Maybe there's more expenses with transportation, more expenses with new requirements for books, uniforms, whatever. So, as you can see, there can be changes that justify either lowering the amount or increasing the amount. Those requests can be made in a special process. It's a special process now, and like I said, the decision will be much faster because the judge has to hand down his decision at the hearing, at the end of the hearing, which is a big positive change. So I will continue if God allows it. I will continue making this type of videos, talking to you about several topics. I've done many videos in Spanish. I mean, you can look me up on my YouTube channel. You'll find, I mean, many videos that I've recorded and published there on YouTube. So, I mean, in Spanish about this very same topic, for example, and many other topics, legal topics. So some people have complained there on some past videos that I've been publishing this past few days. Why aren't you making your videos in Spanish? I will continue to make videos in Spanish, but I also want to make some videos in English because I know that we have a significant English-speaking community in Costa Rica, and I'll be honest, I feel I've neglected this community because I focus so much on my Spanish clientele, which is fine. I love my Spanish clientele, don't get me wrong, but I also love my English-speaking clientele, and I have very good friends, for over decades. I've been friends. I have some of my dearest friends. Okay, they live in the U.S., in Utah, in Texas, in Florida. They're very close friends, and they're my clients. So my clients have become my friends. Thank you, Danny. I'm new at these videos, so I'm not sure how it works, but I see Danny sent something, like a gift or something, and I'm very grateful to you, Danny. As I move on, making videos and hopefully getting more people to watch them, we'll become, we'll have many people join my channel and become more familiarized with aspects of Costa Rica that are not that often, are very seldomly talked about. So I don't want to get you tired with my talking. I can talk for hours. I can go on and on. I love what I do. I love my job. I love doing legal work. I do consultation. If you want consultation, we can do it here in the office in San Jose. We can also do it over the internet. I do a lot of Zoom meetings, so we can program or schedule a meeting and talk to you about, give advice, legal advice, recommend the best course of action for your particular situation. I love doing it. I love doing that. Right now, I'm in the office, even though it's only it's January the 3rd, or I think it is. Wait a minute. I don't even know what date we are. Hold on. Yeah, Friday. I lost sense of time, because these holidays. So it's the 3rd of January. I'm in the office because I have to finish a very large translation. Okay, it's like almost 1,500 pages that I got. So I do quite a bit of translation work as well, mainly appointed by the courts, but also by private individuals. So, like I said, I love what I do. I love helping people. I really do. When the person allows it, I like to go even beyond just the legal advice and give them maybe some spiritual counseling, because I do a lot of that. I've published over 40 books, which you can find on Amazon. They can be shipped all over the world. They are some of them. I have one which is translated to 6 languages. So I even have some books. Unfortunately, Amazon doesn't carry books in Korean, but I do have what I think is my best book. It's also in Korean, but I have most books are Spanish, English. Some of them are in French, Italian, German, but they've been translated to different languages. So, and the topics, some are philosophical, some are more practical. I have journals. I even have bedtime stories for kids. There's a whole series in Spanish, in English. In English, I have a series which has 4 books, and I started a series in Spanish, which has its first book, but it's really good. People love them. They're my bestsellers actually. So I like to read bedtime stories to my kids. I have 5 boys, and so I thought maybe I publish some books on that too, and it's worked really well. People love them. In Costa Rica, you can actually find one of those books. My first book in the Bedtime Stories for Kids series in English. It's called 30 Bedtime Stories for Kids. You can find it at the Librería Internacional. So it's actually for sale here in Costa Rica as well. I think probably my best book, which people don't understand, but because the title is it doesn't tell you. I don't think it may be recognizable as easily, but it's Ho'oponopono. Ho'oponopono to me, it took me like 10 years thinking about what I was going to write. It took me that long before I put it in writing. I think it's a really good book, Ho'oponopono. And that book is the one that is in 6 languages. So if you find it on Amazon, if you go to Amazon, just type in my name, Arcelio Hernandez Mussio, and you can see like over 40 books that I've published. So, I'm saying this because I like to help people as much as possible, as much as they will let me. Sometimes, the answer is not, it goes beyond the law. I like to go deeper into the situation and see if we can fix things from the root, from the very origin of the problem. Not everybody's open to that, and that's fine. I never force anybody, but if somebody needs it and somebody opens up and lets me, sometimes we spend more time here in the consultation talking about this sort of things, like Ho'oponopono, going into inner healing and forgiveness and peace, interior peace of mind, than the actual explanation of the legal process, because that's very straightforward. I explain how the process works and give recommendations as to legal actions, but then the person will open up, and then we'll end up talking for a very long time about other matters, and I love it. I don't have any problem if a person will let me help them. Like I said, I've been sitting here maybe for 3 hours with somebody, and we've finished our legal consultation, but we're still talking because we're going into deeper into their situation, But like I said, it all depends on the person. I don't do it with everybody. I do it when I feel inspired to do it, first of all. So that's just an extra. What I do. As you can see, I like talking. I like talking about a lot of things. I was thinking yesterday, it has to do a lot with my background as a professor. I used to teach English. I paid for my college in the United States by teaching English to English as a second language students who came from different places, Asia and Poland, Europe, Latin America. That's how I was able to study in the United States. And I did it teaching English. And when I came to Costa Rica, I did the same. I started my law degree studies with a loan, right? But then I didn't use very much of that loan because I started teaching English at the same university, and then they gave me a scholarship. So I think that my talking so much on this video sometimes has to do with my background as an English professor. When you teach English, you have to be very creative. First of all, you have to maintain people's attention, and then they get distracted with things. So you have to keep it interesting. And I think that has to do a lot to do with my with the length of my videos. I know my videos can be long. My and I apologize if you get tired, but I like to share my heart with people. That's what I do. I share my heart. I like to help people. If I can help you, I will feel lots of satisfaction. And I always think that money comes. You don't need to look for the money. The money will come. If you're able to help people, whatever you do in life, if you help others, the money will come. You don't have to worry about money. If you're helping, if you're being useful to other people, the financial matters take care of themselves almost. I mean, it's not that you don't have to be responsible with your finances. You have to learn. I've had to learn the hard way, managing money. And I struggle sometimes. I have a very dear people that I try to help, because the moment they get any money, they can't. It's like the money sort of burns in their hand, so they can't hold it. They want to spend it right away. So I used to be that way too, and I still work on that aspect. I'm a compulsive buyer, so I had to sometimes avoid going to the mall, because if I go to the mall and I get into a store and I start looking, watches are one of my favorite things. I love watches. I have a collection. I bought this one in Belgium, by the way. This is a Tissot, automatic Tissot. I bought it in Belgium. But I have a collection. I love watches. So if I go to a store, I start looking at the watches. Oh, man. I feel this urge to buy a watch, even though I have a bunch of watches already. So I can be a compulsive buyer, so I have to be aware of it, first of all. I have to be aware. I have to be conscious that I have a problem. See, the first step is, when we have a problem, we have to acknowledge we have a problem. And then we can look for help, and then we can expect to improve. But until we acknowledge, or until we recognize that we have a problem, it's very difficult. So that's why it's important to be humble, And we all struggle with that. I struggle with that. I've struggled in my life, with pride, not wanting to admit things, not wanting to accept that I have a problem. And you can't really make any progress until you take that first step and admit that there's a problem. And that's okay. We all have problems. Nobody's perfect, We all have problems. We've all made mistakes. So listen to me. Here I am talking for minutes about something else, not about law. See, this is what happens. So if you want to talk to me strictly about law, you have to let me know right away, because when you come for advice, okay? And I will do it. I mean, yesterday I did some consultation over Zoom, and it took 15 minutes. We were very straight to the point, and I can do that too. So I don't want to scare people away. It's just that I do this mainly when I find somebody suffering. When somebody comes into the office, they're going through divorce, or they can't see their kids, or they can't pay the alimony or child support, and now there's an arrest warrant out for them. See, people coming here with very moving problems, like very, dramatic things, And so it's very difficult not to become emotionally involved and try to help. So I only do this when people are in need and when they open up. First of all, I can feel that need in somebody, okay? I have this gift to feel people and what they need, spiritually. But they have to also be willing to hear me out, to listen to me. If somebody's not willing to, I won't go into it. I'll just be very straightforward and give you the legal advice only, and that's it. I mean, I don't like to impose on anybody. That's what I'm trying to say. Anyway, there's a little bird that came into my office. I don't know. I left the back door open. So I got a hummingbird flying all over the place here. This is Costa Rica, 6.5% of the world's biodiversity in this country. And I love it. I love nature. I love living here in Costa Rica. So if you have any legal situation that you want help with, just remember me, Arcelio Hernandez. I'm here. I am fully bilingual. I am an official translator. I can translate for you. I can talk to you and communicate to you, and I will be very happy to assist you. I have a full legal team here, in-house lawyers, to assist me and to assist you, to give you an efficient service. and offer you the best quality work. Thank you very much for watching. And if you want to write to me by email, I have an email, info at Legal Grounds Costa Rica, info at legalgroundscostarica.com. That's our website too. You can look at legalgroundscostarica.com. I use a lot WhatsApp. I use it a lot. My number is country code 506 in Costa Rica, 506, and the number is 6088-8817. Again, country code is 506, and the number is 6088-8817. Thank you very much for watching, and God bless you.